So when you do get in, you'll start by hitting the status button. And I cannot stress this enough, like we were talking on Friday, never hit the on not driver because it will just make a mess of everything. That is for those who are not going to drive in any way to log into, like say if you're running team, help tarp a load or help do paperwork, whatever it might be. But if you use on not driver for your on duty status and then you go to take off, it's going to get confused 90% of the time and then generate an unidentified driver. So then at the end of the day, and I'll show you when we get there, in order to certify your log, you'll have to accept or reject it.
You can eliminate that, like the PCs that you can eliminate it for the drivers that don't have team drivers?
No, everything that's done on here is done fleet-wide. So if we got rid of it, which they probably wouldn't acquiesce to that request anyway, it would be the entire fleet. So we have to kind of, and then of course, yeah, this is a great example. You will have yard move in PC.
So
and drive. So on this one, keep in mind, on this one, you'll actually have a button that does say drive. And see, this is where people got confused. On this system, they would see on driver, they hit that and they say, oh, I put it in drive. There's no drive button. This one, in your truck, you'll have one. This doesn't because there's no truck hooked up to it, so it's
that says on driver.
Diminished. So, anyhow, you always hit on driver. You pick what you want. If you hit inspection, as soon as you hit next, you're inspecting. Only time it will ever prompt your shipment or your trailers is when you first log in. Otherwise, it just kind of assumes you know what you're doing. On this, if we don't have a trailer in here, so say you're picking up trailer 888, right? You get done for whatever reason twice. Or that's your shipment, I'm sorry. It'll do this.
So when you do inspection, if you don't have a trailer, you don't put nothing until you get to where your shipment is, or you have to show.
Well, you're certainly welcome to put inspection in twice.
So you just you don't have to put anything, or you have to put that you're under load to pick up a trailer.
The law states you have to do 2 inspections, pre-trip and a post-trip. It states also that you aren't required to log both. So if your pickup, you drive somewhere and then you log your inspection, that should be acceptable. It's preferable that you show at least 3-4 minutes, something 5, the time it would take to walk around your tractor.
Yeah, minimum 15, no?
Well, no, there's no minimum.
There's no minimum.
Well, I mean, within reason. Everything is based off the terminology they use, which is reasonable. What's a reasonable amount of time to do an inspection?
30 minutes.
Well, that's a very conclusive inspection, but I can promise you, and I've had this conversation, 30 seconds is not reasonable.
No.
One would think.
I see, if you have a truck and a trailer, I see 30 minutes is reasonable to start. Once you do your post-trip 15 minutes, then your pre-trip is 15 minutes. That's the way I do it. I see more.
You don't have to show a post-trip at all. You can show a pre-trip or a post-trip.
Either one.
Pre-trip's smarter.
Okay.
Because the DOT like it. But you have to show one or the other. Okay, so here's your screen. There's your 8 hours. Do not confuse that with the amount of time you have to drive for the day. That's just until you run out of time for your first rest break. So we put the shipment in. Trailer, exact same screen. Want to put a trailer in. Here we go, whatever number that is. It's right there. You go back. Oops. Get out of there. Now, say I dropped that trailer. It's the morning, so I get up in the morning, I gotta drop it. I had already dropped that trailer, and the next morning I'm about to grab my next trailer, so you just hit that, come back over here, and why you have to hit the button twice, I have no idea. But it's the same thing on your shipment. You just highlight it, or trailers, I mean. You just highlight it, hit remove, type in your new one. If you're so inclined, because there's nothing illegal against it that I know of, when you're doing drop and hooks, if you pick up multiple trailers or switch trailers in a day, you don't have to pull one out until the next morning. So when you're doing your pre-trip in the morning, you should be doing your pre-trip on your, if nothing else, you should do your log pre-trip, which is to go through and make sure the trailer that's in here, there's only the one trailer, it's the one behind you. The shipment in there is only one shipment, and it's the one in the trailer behind you. That way you don't roll into a DOT station and you have multiple BOLs in there, which is a violation. Or you have trailers on that you didn't pull, which is a violation. They don't normally get too excited about that sort of thing, but you never know when all of a sudden, I've had this conversation multiple times already today, just because they don't write you up for it doesn't mean it's legal. It's still illegal, they just didn't feel like writing you up for it, for whatever reason. So, little yellow triangles mean there's issues. This log, because it's not hooked to a truck, always has issues, so you can't get too worried about it. But when you hit this log button right here,
With the grab.
grid, and then here's your events. Now, anything that I do, I can annotate and adjust, right?
You can.
Yes.
I can.
Yes, you can.
I can.
That's what I'm talking about, is you in the truck, you're in here. I can do it as well if you're so inclined. Let's say I wanted to annotate this, and I just type in what I want to do, right here, right? So, if you come down, again, I don't have a drive line, but if I come down to the drive line, the very last one, and I went over my hours for like 30 seconds or a minute, and it was because I had plenty of time to get there, but then there was an unforeseen accident out in the middle of I-35, so the semi rolled over and the whole bridge fell down, whatever the reason is. I can go in here, hit this, the annotation button comes up, and I can type in unforeseen accident, drove to nearest safe haven. Now, that's fine as long as you do that. If that accident was here, you drove here, that's the nearest safe haven. If the accident was here at 6 o'clock in the morning and then you drove till 4 o'clock, that's just you screwing up.
Common sense.
Yeah, well, you're right. So you can't use PC like we were talking about earlier. Well, let's see, I don't have the button. So you already moved the PC, will be down here. You cannot use PC because you ran short on time. You can annotate that why you ran short on time and that you went to the nearest safe haven, and you may get an officer that's cool with that. No, that's cool, no problem, I understand. Or you may not. If you don't, the guy's going to write you up for going over your hours, and he's going to write you up for falsifying your log. That's over 40 points for those two. Yeah, it hurts like hell.
Yeah, how many points? Not too many.
So if you do go over by, say, 2-3 minutes, and you annotate it, and the guy still doesn't like it, he can only write you up for going over your hours, which is 21 points. Half that if you use PC. So don't use PC because you're going to double the amount of damage you do. And if you annotate it correctly, you have just as good a chance of not getting into trouble as if you use PC, but you double the amount of points if you do get into trouble. So just don't even consider it. It's not legal. There's no definition in which I can data queue it. You run out of time. Their only thing they're ever going to say to me is, you should have done your trip planning better. So just don't. It's not worth it. So anyhow, in advance, when I certify a log, never certify today.
Tomorrow.
Always go back one day. I'm gonna watch this. I'll hit certify. And it certifies everything to the last time there was a duty change. So I just got 2 for 1, right? If you're off duty for like 6 days continuous. You go back one day, it'll grab all 6. All right, oh, well, I can just go back 6 days. Right, but what if you're off for 2 weeks? It'll grab all 14 days, and you can't go back that far. Now, if you go back as far as you can and hit certified, then it, then you have to go forward, and then everything that's missing just stays missing. Yeah, kind of sucks. So keep track. There's a $50 fine if you have like. So today I have an on-duty status, right? Most people would have drive and all the other fun stuff. If you have on-duty statuses and you have 3 days in a row that aren't certified, you'll get a $50 log fine. So those need to be. So the last one, no, keep in mind, most people are really good at this sort of thing. The last citation we got for uncertified logs, that was technically 2 days behind. So today wasn't certified, which doesn't have to be, yesterday and the day before. And they wrote them up for it.
So every day you wake up in the morning and you do your pre-trip certified the day prior, so you don't have to.
And then you never have to be able to.
Because if you get pulled over as soon as you take off being certified, they're gonna fine you for that.
And his reasoning was, well, there was something on there 2 days ago I was going to call you about. I felt it sketchy, so I didn't certify it because I didn't want to get in trouble. Whether it's sketchy or not, you still have to legally certify it because at the end of the day, you said this is what you did, and it's what you did. And if you feel like there's something sketchy about it, not certifying it just gets you one more write-up. So it's definitely not worth it. This add button, this is technically the edit button. They don't say edit because you can't remove anything from your log. Like if you're left it in PC and you go back and you clear the PC, right? You can't go in there and remove the line that says PC from A to B. You just add a line that says, oh, from at this point later on, I cleared the PC from here to here. But the one that says that it was there, it just stays there. So if you have some on-duty time, so you call me up and you say, hey, can you get some on-duty time off of my log so I can get some more drive time today? All I can do is go in and then say, well, this on-duty time shouldn't be here. It should be up in sleeper berth. So both now the on-duty time as it happened that you did, and then the on-duty sleeper berth as it was rewritten, both of those will be on your log at the same time.
They're both gonna appear?
Yes. So if they download, they'll see both. So going back in and adjusting it is fine. It's not illegal, but it doesn't make any sense.
They will question.
If you got to go through there, and then you got 3-4 days, no DOT officer is going to go, oh, I'm sure that happened and he didn't do anything nefarious.
So it's going to question either way.
Right. So the best thing to do is to get it right the first time. So this is your edit button. We are not going to get into that now because I want you to get into the truck, drive it around. Once you get familiar with it, if you want to come back and go through that, that's perfectly fine. But essentially, you just fill this out. This is going to be a lot to take in all at once. That's adding a level of something that you will not remember because you will not use it. Details. This page here, you'll never use. If you do use it, you're having a really bad day because something in here is wrong that you don't really have all that much control over. So don't worry about that detail button too much. If you do have to look at it, it's because these guys, Trimble is telling you to look at it. So I wouldn't worry about that one too much. There's your certified. Go back. Options. So review log, see it's asking me to review log because there's an issue. So whenever you see this little yellow triangle, this will also come up when you have an unidentified driver. So you would hit it, you hit your review log. And this is what's annoying. So when you hit the review log, it'll come to here, and then I get people say this all the time. Well, I went there, I looked at it, but it doesn't say accept or reject anywhere on it. and it doesn't. You can't accept or reject from here, or at least not on that one, maybe this new one, but I doubt it. You have to go back to your logs, and then go back through the days, and then find the one that's highlighted. See, there's a little mistake. Find the one on your events, right? Because it'll tell you what day, so you go to the day with the event, you scroll down, it'll be highlighted, you tap on it, and when you tap on it, it'll say accept or reject. So it's a little...
You gotta look for it.
Yeah, like I said, it'll give you the date, so you gotta go back to the date, and then you scroll, well, I don't have really much anything here, but you'll scroll down, find the one that's a different color, tap on it, and it'll come up with a green thumbs up or a red thumbs down, and then you choose which one is which. If you know you've been driving, just accept it, because sometimes it'll glitch going down the road, you just go, I don't know who's driving, and then it just generates one. Very, very rare, especially with these new systems. These systems with the old gliders happen with some regularity, where you'd just be driving down the road and it would glitch out. Don't really hear about that with this one. But that being said, if you weren't driving and you reject it, what it does is it takes it off your log and then sends it to my log. And then now, for all eternity, my name is on your unidentified driver. So I have to go at it, look at it, and then decide whether or not I'm going to put it on your log anyway, because it should be there, or if I'm going to say, I'm not going to assign this to the driver because, and then whatever reason, say, if you're here, always log out, because if the truck moves, it's really simple to just go, well, the shop moved it, we're at the shop, and they have spare keys to get in, they start your truck, they bring it in, it's going to generate an unidentified driver, it's no big deal. If you're at home or you drop the truck off somewhere, make sure to let me know that it's at a shop, because when they move it, it'll do the same thing, and that way I know I can put, on the annotations for my log, shop use and then / local shop. That way it doesn't go back on your log.
So if it gives me that, I'm just gonna put the red thumbs down. That's not me.
If it's not you. If it is you, put the thumbs up, and then it just literally disappears. It just vaporizes into ether.
It adds it into your log.
Yep, and then it just goes away.
But hopefully it doesn't mess the whole thing up.
Well, if it does, it's the only time you can actually go in and remove a drive. So if you screw up and like, oh, I didn't mean to hit that one, I meant to reject it, and it's like, oh, now my whole thing is screwed up, blah, blah, blah. It's not a big deal. You can go back and you can unaccept it. There's a little sense of grammar that makes, but anyhow, or I can do it for you. Again, anything you can do in here, if you're having problems, I can help you with them. So don't get too excited if something doesn't make any sense. I mean, a lot of stuff won't make sense to begin with. Some of it's pretty straightforward. This is straightforward. If I do have to make an adjustment, again, the options, and it'll say request logs. I can't come in here and adjust this log. There's a mainframe, obviously, some building somewhere, probably in California, who knows, and that's what keeps track of your log, right? I can go in and adjust your log through your portal, but I can't go into, by the way, the log is over here, not here. I can't go into this log and adjust it. There's a barrier. So you'd have to go in, hit request logs, and then it'll ask you if your name. I'm not going to do that because Lord knows how long that'll take with the signal we have here. Coco. Transfer data. So if they ask you, hey, send me your logs, you'll just hit this button.
That's for the
And then
DOT.
and then you'll put in whatever email or whatever address they want. That's pretty simple. You don't really have to deal with that too much. This is what happens when you don't have the truck.
Keeps asking login.
It just kicks you out because you went the wrong way. This one will do it whenever you try to certify logs too. I mean, they're just, which is actually a good point. So this will run a split sleeper berth and your normal log simultaneously. Under no circumstance ever believe this is something that you just blindly follow. This is a piece of plastic with an IQ of 0. You're infinitely more intelligent than this machine. Pay attention to it because it will, I cannot tell you how many times in a given week, particularly in a month, I'll get a phone call. They'll wake up in the morning, they'll see the 8 hours. Well, they're in the middle of a split, so they did their 8 hours. They got some time back because they only drove like 2 hours yesterday. So they get 8, well actually they get more than 8, but this comes up as 8. They take off, they get down the road 4 hours and they realize, hey wait, I didn't get my full 11. It's because you just split.
So now you got to redo your 11
So now you got to pull over and do 2 more hours of break because you missed it by like 30 seconds or an hour or whatever mistake you made. At the end of the, when you go to take off or whenever you, particularly when you park, a little box will pop up and say, if you're doing a break, you can leave at this time. If you're not doing a break, you can leave at this time. Pay attention to that box. Otherwise you can end up kind of putting yourself in a bad spot.
So what about when you get to a warehouse to unload? When you're waiting?
Show anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes immediately for a variety of reasons. Very.
Okay.
Just bite the damn bullet, show the 10 to 15 minutes. And then the rest of it can be sleeper berth.
How about if you move? Can you put yard move?
Yes, yard move is 100% acceptable. That's actually what it's for.
So as soon as I get there, I can drop to on duty because I'm checking in.
Yeah, for 10 to 15 minutes.
And then they ask me to move.
Then you just go to yard move and park, and then you go to sleep.
Back to on duty if I haven't finished those 10, 15 or what?
Oh, you probably will get that in pretty quick. But yeah, if that's what it needs to be. But just make sure that you put yourself in a sleeper berth. If you put yourself, so some of the things that happened in 2010 when they changed the rules that didn't get implemented till 2012 is definitions. So the definition of off-duty is roughly you're not responsible for the truck. So like you're not necessarily in the truck, right? You get a hotel room, you're off-duty. You go visit your parents or something and you're there for 3-4 days, you're not necessarily in sleeper berth. You're going to be off duty whenever you're not in the truck. Sleeper berth, on the other hand, is saying I was in the bunk doing essentially nothing. Here's the big caveat. If you claim off duty, it's incumbent upon you to prove that you got your rest. Where were you at? Well, I was at mom's. She got a bedroom? Well, yes. Can I see it? Well, I don't have pictures of it. Were you at a motel? Yes. Do you have a receipt? No. If you're in a sleeper berth, even if it's for an entire 34, and they go, you're telling me you never got out of the truck? Yes, I'm telling you that. You can simply say, hey, listen, I got entertainment, I got food, I have means of preparing the food, and I have portable facilities inside the truck. I have no need to leave the truck. So
the 34-hour reset ain't asking you to sleep 34 hours. It's asking that you're rested.
You can absolutely 100% for the entire day put it in off duty. But if you don't put that in sleeper berth for at least 8 consecutive hours at night, you're setting yourself up for a citation. Some people, I would include myself, have a habit of forgetting to take it out of off duty at the end of the day and putting it in sleeper berth. So I would just leave it in sleeper berth.
So how we could reality use PC is if we really need it, or if we're at home, we're gonna take it to a shop, but you're home.
That's how we got into trouble. You can't take it to get parts. You can't take it to get a truck wash. You can't take it to a repair shop. When you have those situations, for the record, call me and we'll work out the details. But anything, as I was saying before, anything where if you were a company driver and you would want to get paid for that action, like taking it to a repair shop or taking it to a truck wash or going on a parts run. So the law states any compensated work needs to be logged as on duty when you're driving down the road, okay? Big difference between this one and this one is when you pull over and stop, that just kind of stays there. It's kind of like, okay.
You have to manually.
So then you gotta come in here, hit your home button, come back, move it over here. But there's kind of a cheat. Once you're here, you see this little triangle? Well, that's handy. There's all the same information. There's your cycle. So you don't have to cycle back and forth between the two pages. You can just use this little button. Let's see if I can, gigantic sausage fingers here. The other one is right here. Cycle duty summary. So, cycle duty summary. Apparently you need Sherlock Holmes like eyeglass, but these are your used.
That's like any type of name.
Hand me my glass, Watson. Here's your hours. On duty driver. So you'll take the bottom two, right? And that's what you're looking at. So you go back 8 days. This is what I get back. So apparently I was on duty for 24 hours 8 days ago. So when you're doing a recap, today is day 8, right? Always. So then you go back and there you are. So
when you do a recap, it only allows you to run whatever hours you ran the first day, right?
well, you get 70 hours in 8 days, right? If you look at it and you go back that distance, as long as you're looking at it as the end of your run, your 8 days, every day, and you go back that distance, you'll see what you pick up tonight at midnight. So I was having a conversation with a guy this morning. He still has 30 hours. He screwed up his reset. He went to Walmart and then he forgot to put it back in PC when he left Walmart. He goes, only drove for like 10 seconds. I said, well, 10 seconds or 3 minutes and, basically a mile. But, either way, it's up to you. He says, what do I do? I said, you got 30 hours. I said, you only get back, 4 hours, 5 hours. And I said, and then it starts to hit. I said, so you got more than enough time to get you through the next 2 days. By the time you start burning that down to 0, you'll start getting back, 10 hours, 11 hours, 12 hours, 10 hours. So you had these really big days, but they were still 2 more days away, but you had poured enough time. So whatever time you have left, you just add that. So a lot of times in his case, you would see zeros, but I don't know. He was kind of putzing along there for a while for the first 3 days. Anyhow, that's where you get your, and again, you can just call and ask. And I'll pull up essentially a very similar, well, it's this part, not that part, a very similar screen, and I can give you your cycle. Not a big deal. The other one is, let's see, we went through this the other day. Yeah, that's good. So your permit book.
Should be on that one.
Most of everything.
There's nothing there, so.
Yeah, there's not going to be anything in this one. So all the trailers, so if you look in the old permit books, you'd open it up at the back. It had every registration for every single trailer in the fleet. That's all in here now. This is just those, no, wait a minute, I know what it was right here. There we go. That's interesting. There we go. So, as you can
Sausage
see.
fingers.
Yeah, I know, right? Non-conductive to boot. So if somebody sends you a message, this is where you get. So when you first get going, they're going to dispatch you through the email system on this here, and then so you can hit so inbox. Pick one. Initially, if you are so inclined, you can use your cell phone and just talk to a single dispatcher at whatever way you want.
So it's pretty much like the corporate that everybody.
Yeah, so if you wanted to send one, there should be a button here, send. And then,
That's what we
so
said.
there should be, where the heck is the,
The new one? It would be
no,
on
there should be,
that one. And then new message. And that's
yeah,
what you
well,
said.
you have to pick, there's gotta be a,
And then you were 2.
there you go, yeah. So, yeah, I'll just send one to myself, that'll be fun.
Blah blah blah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll, ooh, look at that. Yeah. So when you send one to dispatch, it goes to absolutely everybody upstairs. When you send it to me, it comes to just me. When you send it to payroll, if you want to do a settlement, I think it's a settlement. It'll go to Jessica, Kaylin, I believe Morgan, and Josh. But again, in that exact same scenario, you are more than welcome to email one specific person if you like working with them. The same thing with dispatchers, like if you wanted to work exclusively with Bree, some do, some don't.
So when they give you
some don't
loads, it's
care.
gonna come out here.
Yes, but they can be on your phone.
Both.
So it's entirely up to you how you want to get dispatched. You just have to talk to them, work that out. Everything's kind of.
Since this is kind of like starting with it, you can do your phone first.
Yeah, they typically will send it on this, and I do believe they put it on this regardless if it comes on your cell phone or not. Just for record keeping, would be my guess. But yeah, other than that, there's some of this stuff is just going to be. These are just kind of there's.
Apps that I have on the phone.
Yeah, like Trucker Path, which is a really good one. The scale, because I mean, you probably should scale your truck. Oh, just a little hint. If it was me, I'd get all my stuff in the truck, fill the tanks full, and then go scale it so you know what it weighs empty. Because too many people get overweight citations and they're surprised, but they never knew what the thing weighed empty. So, and then it doesn't hurt to keep that copy in your overhead just in case it's ever an argument with somebody. You don't.
And eventually you'll find the fifth wheel where you want it.
Most of them are already set, and typically they're set too far back. And the reason for that is people have a bad habit of, well, like you say, you're going down a hill and then the road flattens out. If you got it too far forward and then you turn, the very top will dig into the sleeper. So most of our loads are reasonably light and it's not really an issue. And virtually all the trailers on the road are supposed to have functioning slides. Obviously nothing's perfect. Sooner or later you'll run into one that has an issue, but typically with almost no exception will that ever happen. So you should be able to move the weight around, and considering most of our loads are pretty reasonable in weight, they're not going to match you out with any regularity. It should be all right. Let's see. So, a couple of things quick. Make sure you know how to move this out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's your.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Ain't that fancy?
I don't know if it works or not. No, it does work.
Same shit as a half a finger though.
Yeah, whatever. Deal with that later. Oh, and then the one last thing is to make sure when you get in, and just in case something goes wrong, it says USA Day Property Carry dash sleeper berth. If you don't have the sleeper berth, what will happen is, again, it runs the split and the normal HOS simultaneously, and you can't turn that off. If it doesn't say sleeper berth, you won't get the notifications. Beyond that, when you sign out, oh, there it is, it's got the drive. So, if you ever in a position where this thing has a hard time recognizing your truck, again, on this it doesn't happen very often, you hit the drive button. That's actual drive button. those aren't. Otherwise, when you're done,
That's like on drivers like on duty. On drivers like on duty.
yes, what it should say, on duty, not driving. And the problem is it says on, not driver, and a lot of people really don't read that, and they'll say, oh, it said I put it in on duty, not driving. I'm like, look closely, you're talking about a verb, it says now, driver. It's referring to a person, not an action, and that's what gets people in trouble. Not so much anymore, because I've talked to a lot of people to straighten that out, but I cannot emphasize enough the absolute chaos pushing that button creates if you make the mistake of hitting on not driver, especially when it has a drive button, which is usually what was happening. People were hitting that and using that.
Why do we need that in reality though? We don't have to know.
Okay.
They don't have to know that guy's in the front unless he gets pulled over.
Well, that's the law. See, they have to obey the law, the people that wrote this, right? So they're going to do everything that the law says they have to do. And the law says if you're up in the passenger seat and you're a team driver, that's on duty.
On duty.
I don't know why, if you're sightseeing, that's on duty. It doesn't make sense to me, but you're not in sleeper. Again, the rules, you have one set of rules for every possible driver in the country. So a lot of these rules don't necessarily make sense for over the road. And a lot of them don't make sense for PUD drivers or regional drivers. So it's not a perfect system, so we just have to deal with it the way, Right, so who's going to put themselves in on duty while they're sitting in the passenger seat doing absolutely nothing with their feet on the dash, which by the way is illegal? Nobody. But is it the law? It is. So it has to be there. No. Can't really say more than that. Except one last thing. When you go to log out, make absolutely certain, or actually whenever you change any status. So up here in the corner it says current status. Make sure that says what you want it to say. You seen where I was on duty forever and a day? I logged out of here and walked away and it was just buffering, trying to download my logs. I just like, nah, and I walked away. The screen went black, the whole system shut down. The E-log said, what the shit? And after 5 minutes, it just automatically flips you to on duty. Very easy fix, but you wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning, you're gonna be tripping when you got 0 drive time because you've been on duty the last 12 hours. Yeah.
That's your 14-hour violation.
Well, you haven't gone anywhere. It's not a big deal. It's a super, super easy fix. I just go in, it's like 2 clicks. And boom,
but you're gonna have them both either way showing up.
Right, you have to put in their log correction. And that sort of thing is universally a problem where somebody forgot to change themselves out.
Does that have to show the check engines or what?
So that's just a warning. Those 3 buttons are the same as hitting this. So that's saying you have no engine connection, which we don't even have a damn truck. But yeah, make sure, because if you don't know how to pull that out and hand it to them, it's 3 points. As dumb as that may sound. Usually people only get wrote up for that if they've been a little spicy.
Does it have to be mounted on this in the truck?
No, absolutely not. You could literally pull this out, set it on your
when you get pulled over, it doesn't have to be here.
Doesn't have to be anywhere. But this has a battery. This is running 24 hours with this lit up. Your battery ain't gonna last long. This is just a charging station.
So I gotta have this on my dashboard if I don't like it?
Well, you gotta have it somewhere.
Somewhere? Does it have to be in the dashboard? No, right?
Well, you'd have to talk to the shop about that.
So all of this is just power.
Yes.
Period.
And if your power stops working, it's because those little contacts
Might.
are gotten corroded just ever so slightly.
So you can take this off and just connect it here to charge every day.
You'd have to talk to the shop, probably, yeah. And like I tell everybody, I have an after hours phone number. It'll be, and we'll go over the paperwork here in
The beer line?
in the next session. If you have any issues with your log, you need to call me. It's the 514-8900 number. Because it is so much easier for me to talk to you and get this worked out of what we need to do. That's just us having a conversation. But when pen hits paper and they hand you a piece of paper, now it's a whole thing. Now there's a dozen people that are involved in it, including the insurance company, the owners, FMCSA. I have to show any chance of ever needing a lawyer to look at your stuff that we dealt with the problem. So if you have questions on how should I annotate this, there's something wrong with my log, you absolutely cannot tell you how important it is that you call and let me know before you get into trouble. Way simpler to have a conversation and fix a problem than to deal with a problem.
So let's say I start off here today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna hook a trailer right here in the yard, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I go start it, my inspection on duty, pre-trip, and then I gotta log in the truck number, or it's the truck number's already there.
Truck number's in the machine.
So it's inspection, but I don't add a trailer or nothing till I go. But if I go and hook it up, it's driving or yard move.
Oh, I mean, here in the yard, it's your choice.
So I hook to the trailer, then I gotta do inspection for the trailer separate as well, right?
Well, I mean, if you're in the yard, I just drive over there and do them both at the same time.
It's just you can show when you hook up that you go into or you just go on duty to show, or you have to show loading that you hook to the trailer.
Well, you go on duty. If you're doing a drop and hook, you're going to move the truck around. So you're going to want to go on duty or onto the yard move. Now, the nice thing about that is when you do yard move, let's see if I don't think this has that on here. Oh, okay, let's just assume it is. So you say you hit yard move, it'll pop up. It'll ask you to annotate it. And you can literally just annotate drop and hook. So you drop your trailer, we'll hook the other one. And then when you come back, you just get on, and then so you get on, and then you hit your inspection button.
For the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And you throw the numbers in the shipment number and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right, exactly. Now, keep in mind, this off duty, the on status here, well, you see, you can't put the trailer number or the BLO number when you're in off duty.
Mm-hmm.
And they changed that about somewhere between a year and 2 years ago, because the federal government said, well, I mean, we can't have you punching buttons in your computer.
That don't require.
That's an on-duty activity, so you can't allow them to do it unless they're on duty. I don't know. So one of the problems we had for a while was people were so used to, they'd pull in, go on duty. Well, don't do this. So some of the people will pull up to a place, say 3-4 hours early, which is exactly the reason for your split sleeper is for this exact scenario. They pull up, they stop outside, like right outside the gate or right at the property line or whatever. Spend 3-4 hours, 5 hours, whatever. And then the guard comes up, knocks on the door, says, hey, go to door 5, you're checked in, you're good to go. Well, then they put it in PC and move over there. Because, well, I'm in the middle of my 10-hour break. Right? Well, then they get unloaded, hour later, and then they try to PC to a truck stop, to a safety. Well, now you can't because you didn't unload. You didn't leave yourself anywhere to unload. Had you just, when you showed up the day before at 11 o'clock, just showed 15 damn minutes and said unloading, it could have been a simple yard move, or it could have been a simple PC move, it could have been a whole bunch of things because you got there and showed your unloading the day before.
So they try to do a 34-hour
or 10-hour.
A 10-hour sleep.
And they're trying to play with the log in such a dishonest way. It doesn't ever work. When you get there, just show 10-15 minutes, whatever seems appropriate. I don't know what the stops. Some stops are super, super easy. Some of them not so much. Just show it immediately, and that if you do have to move, it could be considered a PC move. It could be considered a yard move. But if you don't show that you're there delivering, and when you get there, you can't just pretend at no point that you unloaded. And I've literally had to call people and said, do you want to get paid for the load? Or do you think it's fair that you got paid for a load? Either one. And they're like, well, yeah. It's like, well, your log says you never unloaded. You have to
But
show.
pretty much when you're 10 hours sleep, you shouldn't be moving, period. And that shouldn't show nothing.
Well, I mean, there's times going to be coming up, and this will happen. I can't predict every possible scenario, and that's why I have an after-hours cell phone that you can call. I do get people that call me 11, 12 o'clock at night. I'm not going to get upset about that. Again, it's a lot easier for you to call me and wake me up in the middle of the night. Fucking call me, because it's easier for me to deal with your problem on the phone than to have to deal with a citation and all the negative shit that comes with it. So yeah, if something comes up and you're like, I wonder what I should have done, you can text me, you can call me. On the weekends particularly, it's really important that you don't send a text, because I don't necessarily see them, but I can hear the phone ring. And don't worry if you got to call 2, 3, 4 times. I am not going to get upset because you called me. It's just not going to happen. I get that all the time. Oh, I'm really sorry to call you. It's like, no, I'd be really sorry if you got a citation.